It is. It is. Donno Daily here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. I am Alex Donno. I know it's early. We've been doing our shows the last few weeks at 3 p.m. Eastern time, and that is our normal time, 3 p.m. Eastern time. I'll be honest, I wasn't going to do a show today because I've known for the last couple days I need to basically haul ass about a half hour from now or so. I at least need to start getting dressed and ready because I gotta be dressed to the nines tonight. I've got to go up to the Hard Rock Live to cover the PFL MMA finals tonight, and I've got to get there extra early because I have to get COVID tested before I'm allowed to cover the event as media. So I wasn't planning on doing a show today. I was going to sit this one out. And, that's why Sean Stanley couldn't adjust his plans today, which I totally understand. I think Manny Chang is backstage running things. He's awesome. Manny is the best. So I wasn't good sort of a show today. I was going to take today off. But after that John McClain report came out on the Dolphins and the Texans agreeing to terms of a deal, and everybody talking about it and people clarifying, you've already had a CBS HQ report that kind of contradicts the McClain report. So there's so much going on. I thought I can't take the day off. This is going to be the most informal show I've ever done, at least the most informal episode of Donno Daily. I don't have any guests on today. I don't have a big time agenda today, but I wanted to talk to you guys, and I wanted to take comments, and I wanted to take the temperature of the Dolphin fan base. So before we get into that, I want to remind you guys that our show is brought to you, as always, we are served by the Quarterdeck Seafood Bar and Neighborhood Grill. In fact, I may stop by the Quarterdeck tonight after the PFL MMA fights. I may drive right by the Davie location. That's pretty close to the Hard Rock. Guys, this is your spot. You can watch every UFC pay-per-view fight at the Quarterdeck for zero cover charge. There are games on every night, right? Between the World Series and the NBA and the NHL, football games, there's something on every single night. The Quarterdeck is such a great place to watch a game. They've got the flat screen, high-definition TVs covering every wall. They've got drink specials that run permanently. The 2-for-1 happy hour. That is all day, every day. This is not one of those joints that gives you happy hour for a couple of hours every Friday. No, 2-for-1 happy hour every day at the Quarterdeck. And when you stop by the Quarterdeck on a Saturday or a Sunday to watch the pro and college football games, you can take advantage of their 5 for $15 ice cold bucket special. 5 for $15 Heineken Light, Amstel Light, High Noon Hard Seltzer, or mix and match those to your heart's content. It is so good. Guys, the seafood is fresh and delicious at the Quarterdeck. The sandwiches and burgers, the pasta dishes, the salads. I love the buffalo shrimp at the Quarterdeck. The baby back ribs are awesome. There's so much good food out there at the Quarterdeck. Join us on November 8th. It's going to be here before you know it. November 8th, that's a Monday night. Join us for a Miami Heat road watch party at the Quarterdeck location in Sawgrass, the one that's near FLA Live Arena where the Panthers play. You can join us Monday night, November 8th, to the road at the Nugget. Football out. Be out there, Ethan Skolnick, Man Chang, Sean Stanley, Frank Zaffrey, so many of your favorite 5 Reasons sports personalities. So make sure you join us out there. If you want to peep their menu before you go, or just find the location nearest to you, visit them on the web at quarterdeckrestaurants.com. The Quarterdeck, come for the food, stay for the fun. We are also brought to you by the official sports book of Donno Daily. I've been having so much fun for the last several months as a member at BetUS.com. Join BetUS. They make you feel like a VIP. Their customer service is awesome. They've got the best bonuses in the industry to keep you playing longer, and they don't have big rollovers like some of the competition do. BetUS does it right, my friend. You can bet on everything. It's a full-service sports book, whether you're betting NFL, NHL, NBA, European soccer, UFC, MLB. They have it all at BetUS.com. Bet horse races. You can even get pop culture props at BetUS.com. If you've waited this long, I don't know why you've waited this long to join up at BetUS.com, but if you haven't signed up yet, my friends, you want to use our code when you sign up. When you make your deposit, use our code 5RSN125, and they're going to give you a 125% sign-up bonus. And I'm going to double this deal for you guys. Let me explain. We're going to add a second Donno Daily deal on this if you sign up at BetUS.com. And this is synergy between the Quarterdeck and BetUS. If you guys sign up and use our code at BetUS.com, DM me on either Twitter or Instagram a screenshot showing that you've used our code to sign up, or if you're an existing member, if you've done this already, show us a screenshot of that, and you're going to be eligible to win a Quarterdeck $20 gift card at the Quarterdeck Seafood Bar and Neighborhood Grill. I've got 2 of these right now that are not spoken for. So if you send me a screenshot showing that you've signed up at BetUS with our code 5RSN125, I'm going to pick 2 lucky winners to win a $20 Quarterdeck gift card. So how BetUS.com. You bet, you win, get paid. BetUS.com. I love this. One of the first comments that we get, and hello and welcome to everybody in. I've seen G.A. Canes fan. My guy Ray is in there. Andy Cornell, Andy from Scotland. He's traveling the world. I don't know if he's in Scotland right now, but he is from Scotland. Andy, hello to you. Hello to Gavin. Hello to David. David says, instead of Watson, we need 10 minutes more of Manny Chang's shoe slander. His shoes are still ugly. I don't have a whole lot else to add to that today. Gavin asks, he says, tell us everything you know, Donno. Okay, so I was talking to my guy yesterday, my source that gives me a lot of information on Deshaun Watson. Oh, and there are the Manny shoes. And the thing is, like, the sticking point as far as what my guy knows versus what John McClain reported yesterday, we're very much in the same place. And okay, my source does not have any inside information on the legal settlements. He doesn't know what's going on there. I don't know who does. So that's the thing. And let me give you the John McClain report, at least the highlights of it, and I'll tell you why. Unfortunately, I really can't give you a whole lot of info beyond this because the legal stuff, outside of the offices of the 2 main lawyers, Rusty Hardin is the lawyer who's representing Deshaun Watson. Tony Busby is the lawyer who represents the accusers. We don't know where they are with the settlement. And I know part of that was in the John McClain report. I'll tell you why I would tread lightly with a little bit of that information. But per John McClain of the Houston Chronicle, damn good reporter, the Dolphins and Texans have agreed on compensation, which we've said that on the show multiple times, and that Stephen Ross has signed off on the deal. But it's on the condition that Watson settles his legal issues stemming from 22 accusations of sexual misconduct, and that he being Ross, gets some sort of indication from Roger Goodell as to whether and for how many games Watson would be suspended under the league's personal conduct policy. Now, we got an answer, at least for part of that, from Roger Goodell yesterday. Like Roger Goodell, and this is why this situation is so complicated, so fluid with the legal stuff, right? But for anyone who's been asking the question, Deshaun Watson, who has not been activated all season long, he's a member of the Houston Texans, but they have never at any point this year put him on the active roster. For people who have been asking the question, well, what happens the second they activate him? The second Houston, Miami, whoever activates Deshaun Watson, does Roger Goodell immediately swoop in and suspend him? The answer to that question, at least right now, is no. Okay. And Roger Goodell said it yesterday. He said, quote, we don't have all the access to that information, the legal information, and we pride ourselves in not interfering with it, Goodell said. That process is ongoing. We don't feel we have that necessary information to place him on the exempt list. So he answered the question. The question is, no, he would not be placed on the exempt list. But the problem with that is that could change, right? Because Goodell's saying we don't have enough information now. What if he has enough information a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 6 months, 9 months during next season down the road? So at least part of that, though, has been answered. So as far as settling the cases go, because part of the McClain report says, and this is interesting, John McClain, citing league sources, says Deshaun Watson does not want to settle his 22 cases because that would represent an admission of guilt. I can understand why he would feel that way, because a lot of people would interpret it that way, right? Even though these are civil suits, these are not criminal cases. There are 10 pending criminal complaints, but no charges have been filed. We're talking about civil suits. So technically, by the letter of the United States law, what an amazing country we live in. Technically, if you settle civil suits, that's in no way, shape, or form legally an admission of guilt. But in the court of public opinion, it can appear that way to a lot of people. Like, it can appear that way. A lot of people are saying, wait a second, if you would have won, Why didn't you take it to court? Why didn't you fight it? Why did you back down and pay these people off if you're confident you didn't do anything wrong? A lot of people would interpret it that way. Now, I have a couple of sidebar thoughts on this, though. On the one hand, if any part of Deshaun Watson does realize, you know what? I'm at least a little bit guilty. Like I am at least a little bit guilty here of what these people are accusing me of. He might know in reality, settling it may be the best thing for him, not to drag it out. Because as we've seen time and time again, it's a lot easier to beat criminal cases than it is to beat civil cases. I mean, you remember O.J. Simpson, for example. Everyone was up in arms in the 90s when he, quote unquote, got away with murder when he was acquitted. He was acquitted of criminal charges, was actually convicted civilly. Like he had to pay out a massive lawsuit to the family of the Browns and the Goldmans. So it's easier to beat the criminal cases than it is the civil cases because there's a much higher burden of proof on the criminal stuff than there is the civil stuff. Okay. So Deshaun Watson telling people, I don't want to settle because that would appear an admission of guilt. I don't know if that 100% guarantees that he won't decide within the next 6 days. Maybe the best thing for me is to settle. Now, here's a question that's way above my pay grade, okay? And I know Barry Jackson, Alan Poupar have both pointed this out in some of the tweets that they've written since the McClain report came out. On the surface, it does seem pretty unlikely that Watson can settle 22 cases that have not been settled yet between now and next Tuesday at 4 p.m. That seems like a stretch, right? So my question would be, and again, this goes back to, I don't know what's going on behind the scenes with the lawyers. My source doesn't know what's going on behind the scenes with the lawyers. I don't have any access to that information. I think the question here is that we'll really decide whether or not it's even possible for Watson to get these settled within the next 6 days or not. Are they working on this already? Right? When Deshaun Watson says that I don't want to settle because that looks like an admission of guilt, do we take that at face value? That's the question. I don't know. Do we take that at face value that he wants to dig in his heels and fight these things one by one? Okay. Or is he just saying that now and the lawyers are working on it behind the scenes just in case? Now, I have noticed, and I brought this up a couple times. I think I brought it up Monday and I brought it up a couple of times last week. The lawyers have gotten pretty quiet, right? Because you remember the way that things were shaken out publicly between Tony Busby, the lawyer for the accusers, and Rusty Hardin, the lawyer for Watson. They've had some pretty public bickering sessions, right? They've had some pretty public fights about this. And that's one strategy, right? There are plenty of lawyers out there who say, you know what, I handle my business behind closed doors. There are other lawyers, and they tend to be the types who represent celebrities, and this is very much a celebrity case, who actually like to do things very much publicly. They like to make Instagram statements like Busby does. Those have gotten suspiciously quiet in recent weeks, that there hasn't been a whole lot of this public fighting. So it kind of makes me wonder if the reason why they've gotten so quiet is if they're at least trying to work on something behind the scenes. And yeah, like Welch says, they have gone very quiet. Because you remember when the allegations first started coming out last March, and it was one woman, and then it was 5, and then it was 10, and then it was 15, then it was 22. Tony Busby was making Instagram statements basically daily when this first started coming out. Like he was making statements pretty much once per 24 hours. And it got to the point where then Watson had to lawyer up, and then he started to get very quiet, and his lawyer was doing the talking. And now both lawyers haven't done a whole lot of talking as of late. Frank Midolo says there's no way this deal will happen. It is over. So if it is over for November 2nd, if that's no longer a possibility, then wow, there's a whole lot of other baggage that comes out with this. You have to wonder, if it's over for November 2nd, is it over, right? Do the Dolphins decide to circle the wagons again come March when the new league year opens? And by that point, we're going to know a lot more about Watson's legal status than we know in late October here. Would they circle the wagons, or will the Dolphins say, you know what? We've been through enough of a public circus. that we don't want to get into another one, that we went through this, between really March of 2021 and November of 2021. Do we really want to put ourselves and our fans and our coaches and our players through another circus? Maybe we're done with this, or would they circle the wagons again? That's going to be really interesting to see here. Now, would between now and November 2nd, if the Dolphins have cold feet because Stephen Ross wants resolution on the legal stuff, does another team step in and make the deal? I don't think so. I really don't. I think right now it's Dolphins or bust. Maybe a lot can change in 6 days, but Carolina reportedly are out. That Carolina have pulled out of the race, and part of that is Watson still, to this point, has only agreed to waive his no trade clause if it's Miami. So if Carolina's pulling out, he's already rejected Philadelphia. A lot of other teams, I'm sure, that were interested before March have not been as interested or interested at all because of the legal situation. So it's really looking like right now it's either the Miami Dolphins or he's still a Houston Texan on November 2nd. And Mike Florio from Pro Football Talk brought up a really interesting point, that it was really easy for Watson between, training camp and November 2nd to be complicit in not pushing to play for the Texans and not making a stink about that, because he's thinking, okay, my reward here is going to come in the form of a trade and I'm going to get out of here, which is what I wanted all along. So if he doesn't get traded by November 2nd, then what's to stop Deshaun Watson from telling the Texans, okay, trade deadline is here and gone. I want to play, activate me, put me on the field. And then that puts Houston in a really, really awkward spot then, because they don't want to get him injured before the next league year opens and they have an opportunity to trade him. So, Watson right now, he and his agent may be using that as a little bit of leverage that, hey, we've been fine sitting on the sidelines here and being, complicit in this whole song and dance that we've had. But if you don't get me traded by November 2nd, I'm going to show up to work and I'm going to expect to play, and you have to deal with the ramifications that come with that. So that's one thing. And then, God, the other thing, and I know that in recent weeks, I've talked a lot about Deshaun Watson potentially coming to Miami, and it's probably made a lot of people assume that I'm dying for this trade to happen, that that's what I want as a Dolphin fan. I really don't. I don't, and part of it is I'm just so jaded by the way the Dolphins have handled their business for the last, 20 plus years, that you kind of always feel like even if the Dolphins do the right thing, they still do it the wrong way. And pretty much anything the Dolphins do, they probably should have done the opposite. I'm not one of these Tua stans that's completely sold on the idea that, Tua is a franchise quarterback. Don't even worry about it. He's going to deliver. He's going to be a Hall of Famer. He's going to be the heir to Dan Marino. I'm not convinced by Tua, but I'm far from convinced that going out and taking a gamble like this and bringing in a guy and trading a lot of assets for a guy like Deshaun Watson, when that could easily burn you if this legal stuff goes south, right? I'm not convinced that's the answer either. And okay, if you were to acquire Watson, you're going to have to give up one thing that's pretty common knowledge is 3 first-round draft picks is going to be part of the deal, which is hefty compensation. I've told you guys that what I've heard over the last few weeks is the Texans want from the Dolphins 3 first-round picks, 1 second-round pick, and 2 third-round picks. That's a lot of compensation for a quarterback with legal issues and baggage. I get it. And now a lot of people have come to me and said, well, hey, you might as well do it because the Dolphins don't know how to draft. If you keep those first-round picks, you're just going to end up misusing them anyway. Maybe if Chris Greer's in charge. But we also have to remember there's no guarantees that Chris Greer is in charge. In fact, I think it's probably a better chance than not he's no longer going to be the GM heading into next season, heading into the draft. So, yeah, you could be taking away 3 first-round picks and 3 additional assets from a future GM who might actually be able to use those picks properly. And God, then there's the Tua Tagovailoa part of it. And I put this. And David says, watch Tua request a trade. That wouldn't shock me. He's been playing out this entire season. When he's not injured, of course, but he's been working through this entire season with this cloud just hanging over his head. Do they even want me here? Are they actively trying to replace me? Some people say yes, some people say no. I'd like to think, based on what Tua said after that Atlanta game last week, I would like to think that Brian Flores is being transparent with Tua, because Tua didn't reveal any of the inside stuff about what they're talking about, but Tua did say that he and Flo chat about it often, and he appreciates Flo's openness about it. So, Brian Flores, I would like to think, is telling Tua, hey, this is what's going on. This is out of your control. Just go out there, play well. The only thing you can control is trying to win games. Tua seems like a pretty level-headed guy, but this is an awful situation to be in. And when you feel like you're not wanted, you tend to want to find somebody who does want you. Like, if you've ever been in that situation, you've worked for a certain employer. Me and most of you watching this can probably not relate to being a professional athlete who's making seven figures. Like, we can't relate to the exact situation. But if you've ever had a job where you don't feel like your employer is valuing you and they're trying to replace you, you're probably going to start looking for other jobs, right? So it would not surprise me if that may be going on with Tua here. And as far as the pulse of the Dolphins fan base, this is, of course, far from scientific. I did put out a Twitter poll because I was genuinely curious about this. Simple question for Miami Dolphins fans. Which quarterback do you want taking the first snap for you after the November 2nd trade deadline? Tua or Watson? And wow, 78.9% of those who have responded have said they want Tua Tagovailoa, not Deshaun Watson, to be the next quarterback who takes a snap for the Miami Dolphins. Now this is just me thinking aloud here, and I've had this conversation with a couple of people, so don't take this as any sort of a report. This is just purely my opinion, and these are some of the possibilities I start to think about. You have to kind of wonder if, with the McClain report coming out and this commonly accepted idea that Stephen Ross and the Miami Dolphins are only willing to make this trade if Deshaun Watson's legal issues get settled, I kind of wonder if that's the Dolphins or even the Texans trying to turn up the heat on what it could be from the Texans side. And chances are, yeah, because that's probably where John McClain in Houston gets his info from. That could be the Texans making sure this gets out there publicly because they want Deshaun Watson to realize, hey, bro, if you want to get out of here, like you've been asking us since January of this year, you've been asking us since even before the Super Bowl, you wanted to get out of Houston. If you want to get out, the only way you're getting out of here anytime soon is you got to make those settlements. You have to work on it. You have to stop being stubborn about that. So you have to wonder how much of this is agenda driven. And listen, I've had certain reports for you guys in the last few weeks, and I am always open to the possibility, and why I always say this is what I've been told. This is a report. I am always open to the possibility that whether it's me, whether it's John McClain, whether it's Josina Anderson, whether it's Ian Rappaport, when you're getting information from certain people, you always have to wonder, do they have an agenda, right? Do they want certain information to get out there and be circulated to fit their own needs? So I do have to wonder if, somebody within the Texans organization that's giving their information to John McClain, are they trying to turn the heat up a little bit on Watson and say, hey, Watson, you want to go? This deal only happens if you settle these cases. So the more you drag your feet on this, the longer it's going to take for you to get out of here. And you're stuck with us and we're stuck with you until these settlements happen, man. Let's see what the people are saying this. Oh, and I like this as well. David says this could also be Ross's way out should a deal not happen. I like the way you think, man. I like the way you think. And it also, it does make Stephen Ross look good. Like, for that info to be out there, because, a lot of people throughout this process have said, man, do the Dolphins really not care that this guy has been accused of some really terrible things? Do they not care? Doesn't this make the Dolphins look at least a little bit better in saying that, hey, we like this guy as a player, but we're only willing to bring in this football player if the man can get this stuff settled and this is no longer something hanging over his head. But yeah, man, I want it to be over. I want it to be over. Whether Tua stays or Watson comes, this is getting to a point where it's starting to get pretty toxic. And Ray G.A. Canes fan says Watson is not worth the hassle. God's soldier says, if we get Watson, what happens if Flores and Greer get fired? Does Watson do us the same way he did Houston? Ooh. It seems impossible to predict that, but there is a pattern of behavior here of someone who, when he's unhappy with his situation, is going to try and exercise his power and leverage to get out of there. Even what was it when he started asking to get out of Houston? What was he, 1 year removed from signing that new contract? I think he was 1 season removed. He just signed it the offseason before, I think. So he signed a new deal, wanted to get out of there. Obviously, there's it's like, don't they always say if you start dating somebody who left her dude for you, like basically she was cheating on her previous guy with you, and then you and her officially get together, and then she cheats on you, you shouldn't be that surprised by it, right? Because that happened to a buddy of mine where he started dating a girl. This was in my college days. My friend started dating this woman, and they started seeing each other, my friend and this woman, on the side. When she had a guy, she eventually left her guy for him. And then years later, she cheated on him. It's like, hate to say it, you probably should have seen it coming. Ryan writes in, McClain seemed to throw out an idea that they might already have settled, but I know that they are happy to settle. Yeah, listen, I don't know. If you could show me where he indicated that. And the other thing is, Twitter got pretty ugly yesterday because just the game of telephone is dangerous when it comes to sports reporting. One of my viewers actually direct messaged me the McClain report minutes after it dropped, and I dropped everything I was doing and I read it basically immediately, and I read it before I got on Twitter and saw what people are saying. Like, if you actually, and I know a lot of people don't do this, it's 2021. We read everything in 280 character form. Like, a lot of people, and I do this sometimes, a lot of people are not quick enough to actually click the link and read the full story. But John McClain clearly said in his report, they have agreed to the terms of the deal, which means the compensation. What do the Dolphins give up to bring Watson in? That the two sides have said this deal is satisfactory. But agreeing to the terms is not the same thing as having a deal. Right? Agreeing to the terms is not the same thing, because McClain clearly pointed out in his report that the Dolphins want assurances about suspensions and they want Watson to sort his legal stuff. So the deal is not done, and McClain clearly said that. And then John McClain even had to come out and clarify, because people only see they've agreed to a deal, and then all the tweets and all the aggregators and all the headlines say, Deshaun Watson has been traded. He's a Miami Dolphin. That's what all the headlines start to say when people aren't actually reading the story and reading the fine print. Oh, and hold on. Where did you clip it, Ryan? He says I clipped it. It was on a live stream yesterday with Outkick. Okay, that's interesting. Because and I'll remind you, and a couple people, thank you so much for remembering what I say. A couple of people pointed this out on social media today that one of the reports that I gave you last week, and then I also had one 3 weeks ago, was did say, I think it was only from the report last week, if I want to be clear, when I told you guys it was either last Thursday or Friday that that the deal was mostly done, is what my source told me, that the deal was mostly done, but the Dolphins were waiting on the legal situation and on the settlements. And by that language, I was given the impression at that time, that there was big progress in the settlements. That was the impression I was given. I followed up on it yesterday, and my guy says he does not know right now what's happening with the lawyers. He doesn't. But for what it's worth, I wasn't given what McClain said. And he's probably right. I'm not saying John McClain is wrong. I'm just saying I didn't know what he said yesterday in his report. The part that I was not aware of was when John McClain said that Watson did not want to settle because then it would be an admission of guilt. That was the first time I was seeing that. It makes sense logically, because like I said at the start of the show, the court of public opinion is going to make a lot of assumptions there. The court of public opinion will say he settled. If he's really innocent, he would have fought this. He would have fought this to the bitter end. So I guess I can understand why Deshaun Watson would feel that way. Because it does make him, I guess, look better, because then people might have more doubt with saying, well, wait, it sounds like he's guilty, because I read those accounts and they look really bad, and they do look bad. I read a couple of them on this show, a couple of the detailed accounts of what he's been accused of, and it sounds really ugly. Like, it sounds like predatory behavior, right? So, but some people might give it pause and say, well, if he's going to fight it, that means maybe this isn't true. I don't know. Well, South Beach, get ready, wrote Rafael Morales. I would think that that he would have to realize I have to lay pretty low. Like, if given my reputation now, that I've got to lay pretty. But that kind of defeats the purpose of being in Miami, right? Kid Venture writes in, will Watson play this year if traded? I think the answer to that question is absolutely yes. I would have more doubt about next year than this year, because Roger Goodell clearly said it yesterday after the owners' meetings. We don't have all the access to that information, and we pride ourselves with not interfering with it. The process is ongoing. He continued, we don't feel we have that necessary information to place him on the exempt list. So if Watson were traded and activated, the league doesn't have enough to suspend him. Now, they might have enough by next season. This is where it gets tricky again, right? You might trade for Watson November 2nd. He can play November 7th and on. I think he'd be able to play, he'd be eligible to play in 7-8 games at that point. Like, he might be able to play 7-8 games for his next team. If that's Miami, Carolina, probably not Carolina, whoever, he'd be able to play 7 or 8 games and then possibly get put on the exempt list for next year. But I do think he would be eligible to play. Hello, Joseph Rodriguez. What is up? Let's see who else is in. Arson World, stay the course. If not, we will regret it. If you're asking me what's the right thing for the Dolphins to do, if I'm Stephen Ross, I think the best possible way to handle this football team is I don't make this trade, which means I give Tua more time. I need to do some house cleaning in my front office, right? I think you don't make this trade, which means you keep your assets, but you make sure that the current general manager is not the one who's using those assets, right? Because with so many places where Chris Grier has already failed to deliver first round, second round picks, drafting the wrong people, right? I think you have enough evidence there. You have enough evidence there that that you have to do some front office house cleaning. And yeah, Manny's right there that Deshaun Watson has said no to Philly. He doesn't want to be an Eagle, and reportedly he's also said no to Carolina because he's still only willing to waive his no trade clause for Miami. Now, Mike Florio pointed out, and he's not wrong, that if the next 3, 4, 5 days go by and it's not materializing with Miami, because Miami maybe are holding firm on the legal issue, which is probably a good moral thing to do, right? To wait until you have more information or you have his legal situation settled. And then Carolina's still there. Like, if Carolina are willing to make the deal without the legal conditions and Miami aren't, Watson might change his mind. Watson might say, you know what? I so badly don't want to be a Texan that I want out. Justice Orris says, what about I haven't heard anything substantive about Denver being a spot for Watson. That's just me. I had heard Denver come up as a possible landing spot for Tua if Watson were to come in. So I've heard Denver linked with Tua more so than I've heard Denver linked with Deshaun Watson. But I don't think Denver is that interested. I haven't heard a whole lot about teams being interested in taking on Tua right now. The Houston Texans do not want Tua in part of the trade for Watson if they make it. And I'd heard a rumor that the Denver don't really want Tua either. So if Watson does come in, Tua may still be on the roster. Tua might be forced to either be the backup quarterback or the guy who plays until Watson is eligible to play. Yeah, let Tua develop and save the picks, writes Feral Stitches. Even though I'm not sold on Tua, I do think Tua deserves more time. I think he does, because this has been a circus this year. And for big stretches, they've gotten a little bit better, but early part of the season, his offensive line was embarrassing. They're no longer embarrassing. They've upgraded to bad. Like they've upgraded from embarrassing to bad, his offensive line. They actually weren't that bad against Atlanta, but they're going to be tougher defenses like the one they faced this Sunday against Buffalo. That's going to be a much tougher defense. But I think Tua absolutely deserves more time. I don't think you give up on a top 5 pick this quickly. And if you do, you better be giving up on him for a sure thing. And I don't think Deshaun Watson, because of the legal stuff, is a sure thing. So again, if I were Stephen Ross, I would give Tua more time. I would do some house cleaning with my front office, and I would just I wouldn't completely blow up the roster. I might blow up my front office, but I don't completely blow up the roster. That's what I would do. And yeah, I got to wrap it up in a couple minutes because I've got to put on some nicer clothes than the ones I'm wearing. I'm going to wear like a button-down shirt. I haven't decided if I'm wearing a tie or not. I don't know. I don't know if that's necessary, but I'm definitely wearing a button-down shirt. I'm going up to the Hard Rock Live to watch the PFL finals. I'm covering it as a member of the media. So I got to bounce here in a couple minutes. But yeah, please, if you're watching this right now or if you're watching this replay later, please do us a favor and smash the like button. Please hit that thumbs up button for us, the like button, and subscribe to 5 Reasons Sports on YouTube if you have not done so already, because we got a ton of great content here, guys. And eventually this Watson saga is going to be over, and I hope you stick with us after that, right? Because we have a ton of Miami Heat content on this channel, tons of Dolphins, tons of Hurricanes content on this channel as well, Florida Panthers content, and they're dealing with an issue right now with Coach Q, but the team is very good. Like on the ice, they are fantastic right now. So we got plenty of that content as well. Make sure you smash the like button for us. Want to try to throw some shout outs out here. Raphael, thank you so much for listening, for watching. David Clemente 3472, thank you. LouTube, hi. Thank you for joining in. I guess it's probably somebody named Lou who is on YouTube, so he's called LouTube. I respect it. Ryan, Royal A. Shepherd, thank you so much for coming in. That's my dude. Young Loose, thank you. Young Loose says Watson is a sure thing. Okay, just strictly talking about quarterbacks, I've made my opinion on this known. If you're strictly just talking about quarterbacking, I do not think Tua Tagovailoa will ever be as good as Deshaun Watson is right now, if you're strictly talking about quarterbacking. When I say he's not a sure thing, I just have no way of guaranteeing you he's not suspended and that he doesn't have to go to criminal trial. I wouldn't expect him to serve jail time, but even a trial would be problematic, okay? So that's why I don't call him a sure thing. Tua knows Miami is poisonous. Royal A. Shepherd says the O-line is now, not complete garbage. You're right. They've upgraded for the first 4 or 5 games of the year, they were complete garbage. They have upgraded to not complete garbage. It's better. I'll take it. Moving in the right direction, I'll take it. Brooklyn Rob, it would be so Dolphins to luck into a win this weekend. Mush, pick Buffalo this weekend. I'm definitely picking Buffalo this weekend. So, yeah, you can lock in the Dolphins. Huge thanks to John Teague, to Justice Orris. Thank you for Feral Stitches. Thank you so much. Shop Key, thank you so much for joining us. Andy, he thinks I think you almost have to fire Greer and Flo if you keep Tua. Yeah, possibly. I think that may be the right thing to do anyway. Tim Bates, thank you so much for joining us. Donno, Flo has lost his team. I saw it firsthand last Sunday when players did not go through normal intro. They went straight to the bench. I was shocked. Oh, that's an interesting tidbit. I did not see that because maybe you were at the game. I was watching the game on TV. I did not catch that. Marcus, thank you. Big G, thank you. Let's see who else. Mick Fact, thank you so much for joining us. Arson World, thank you. Ray Grullon, my guy Ray, who always says, howdy, Donno. He says, amazing, Donno. Seems like we're in a Twilight Zone episode every 4 years with our Finns. Shaking my head. Story of my life. I mean, it's I'm 37 years old, and I would say that the Dolphins carousel of mediocrity or worse has been going on for 20 years, so it's been more than half of my life. Marcus Bradley, thank you. Kid Venture, thank you so much for watching. Devin Jordan, my guy. Jordan, he asked this question. Simple question, is Tua going to be elite like Watson? What if Tua is all potential and needs everything around him to be perfect? Yes, dude. We are the same, Devin. We are the same. I fear I hope I'm wrong, but I fear Tua is going to be Tannehill 2.0. That he can win in this league. He can win in this league, but everything else has to be perfect. Mushman, did you watch the clip from practice today? No, what was the clip? Did Tua throw like a 70-yard bomb or something? I didn't see the clip. Zachary B, thank you for joining in. PB Matthew, thank you so much. Welch, G.A. Kane fan, I think I mentioned him. God Soldier, thank you so much for watching. Felipe Perez, thank you. Herman Cueva, thank you so much for tuning in. Yeah, he writes, Donno, what do you think happens with Tua at the end of the season if this trade doesn't go through? Think his agent and him ask for a trade at the end of the season. I can't predict that, but I wouldn't blame him. Could they smooth it out between now and March? Maybe, but I don't know. I mean, I would understand why he would be upset. Like I would understand because I mentioned it. If you've ever been in a situation where your own employer does not value you and is trying to replace you, you're probably going to look for another employer. I would not blame him if he did want out. Frank, thank you so much for watching. And I think I've run out. Andy from Scotland, thank you. And I think I've run out of shout outs for the day. So huge. I appreciate you guys joining me early. We'll be back to the normal 3:00 time tomorrow. I've already gone longer than I said I would because I got to haul ass up to the Hard Rock Live. I'll talk to everybody tomorrow. We'll have Manny and Sean back on the horn then. We'll have another episode tomorrow of Donno Daily on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. Ciao.